A gentle hum echoed through Earth's orbital station, home to children who had lost everything in the wars of the past. Floating peacefully above the blue planet, this orphanage had no weapons, no soldiers, only laughter, school bells, and stories about hope. These children were the future Earth promised to protect. Ships from other worlds often passed by. Some even sent gifts or greetings. It was a place everyone respected, a symbol of peace. But peace, as always, was fragile. Far from Earth, sensors picked up strange readings. A formation of unknown ships drifted near the edge of human space. At first, they stayed still, quiet, watching. The Galactic Union dismissed it as nothing serious. Scouting ships, they said. No reason to worry. Earth asked for answers, but got none. Then it happened. No warning, no broadcast. No demands, just light, heat, silence. In one blinding moment, the orphanage vanished, reduced to dust. The children, their caretakers, the dreams. They were gone, and the ships disappeared just as quickly, slipping into the void as if they'd never been there. The world held its breath. The Galactic Union called it a tragedy. Some spoke of sanctions, some offered apologies. But Earth said nothing. In a quiet underground chamber far from the public eye, generals gathered. Men and women who had once commanded fleets and now lived in shadows. Their eyes cold, their voices steady. One of them placed a small hollow image on the table. It showed the orphanage just days before the blast. A smiling child waved at the camera. No one spoke for a long time. Then came 3 words. Begin protocol vengeance. And with that, the storm began to rise. Across the galaxy, many waited for Earth's reaction. They expected loud speeches, threats, or maybe a plea to the Galactic Union. But Earth stayed silent. There were no protests, no interviews, no signs of anger. Instead, something strange began to happen. Factories that had been silent for years suddenly came alive. Deep within the asteroid belts and frozen moons, lights flickered on. Assembly lines moved without pause. Old war machines were cleaned, repaired, and upgraded. Satellites that once watched distant stars were now focused inward, toward hidden locations within Earth's own system. Every nation, every colony, every human settlement, no matter how far, received a quiet signal. It was simple. It said, "Prepare." But no one knew who gave the order. In the halls of the Galactic Union, confusion turned into nervous whispers. Earth had always been a voice of reason, a species that chose cooperation after centuries of its own painful wars. Now, it said nothing. Their leaders didn't show up to meetings. Their ambassadors returned home. Alien media channels guessed and gossiped. Is Earth scared? Some asked. Others laughed, thinking humanity was frozen by grief. But not all believed that. In the shadows of forgotten systems, strange reports began to surface. Small alien patrols failed to check in. Merchant ships spotted black shapes moving across the stars, silent, unmarked, and fast. Some said they looked human, but they didn't respond to calls. They just passed by, as if scanning. An old human ship was found floating near a trade route. Its systems were off. Inside, no one. Only a message scratched into the side of the metal. Justice. Many tried to ignore it. They said it was a trick, a story made up by frightened travelers. But a few knew the truth. Earth had spoken, not with words, but with preparation. In quiet corners of the galaxy, fear had started to spread, not loudly, but like a slow-moving shadow. Something had changed. Spaceports once filled with laughter and trade were now filled with worry and long silences. People didn't say it out loud, but they felt it. Earth was doing something, and no one knew what. It started with whispers, whispers that turned into rumors, and then into fear. They're building something, a trader said in a bar on Taylor 9. They've vanished from all Union talks, whispered a scientist on a car station. I saw a ship, black as space itself, no lights, no flag, an old cargo pilot claimed. The Galactic Union tried to calm everyone down. "There's no sign of hostile behavior," they said. "Earth is grieving. Let them heal." But behind closed doors, even the Union wasn't sure what Earth was really doing. In the far reaches of the stars, an alien convoy was sent to investigate a missing patrol. They arrived at the last known location, expecting wreckage or some lost navigation signal, but what they found was silence. No debris, no beacons, just empty space and a strange hum coming from a nearby asteroid field. As they got closer, their ships suddenly lost power for 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds. When systems returned, the lead ship's commander gasped. A human symbol had been burned, quietly, perfectly into the outer hull. It hadn't been there before. Back at their homeworld, leaders tried to make sense of it. "Are they threatening us?" "No," said an elder quietly. "They're warning us." The Union requested a private meeting with Earth. They received no reply, but the signs were everywhere. Small colonies of the alien empire, empty, no damage, just abandoned. Broadcast. Stations stopped transmitting. Trade hubs shut down overnight. Someone or something was moving through the edges of space, controlled, precise, quiet, and every trace led to one conclusion: humanity was behind it. Still, Earth said nothing. But something else did arrive. An intercepted signal from an alien scout ship. It was damaged, barely transmitting. Its captain, covered in dust and panic, managed to send just a few words before the message ended. They watched us. Didn't speak. Then everything turned red. The message stopped. No more details. The galaxy listened. And then it waited. Because now they weren't just wondering if Earth would respond, they were wondering when. There were stories, quiet ones, that Earth had been building something in secret. But no one knew where. No one knew when it started. And now the signs were no longer hidden. Deep in the dark parts of the solar system where light barely touched, ancient stations flickered to life. These stations had no names. They weren't marked on maps. Even many humans didn't know they existed, but they had waited patiently for this moment. From icy moons and hollowed-out asteroids they rose, black ships, smooth, silent, and shaped for a single purpose. They didn't fly with lights. They didn't carry flags. They didn't speak. They moved as if space itself bent to let them pass. Across Earth's system, coded signals moved like waves. Factories began working around the clock. Drones flew in silent formations. Entire shipyards, once closed after the last Great War, were now operating again, faster than ever before. But no celebration followed. Earth didn't broadcast any threats. No leader stood before a camera. No crowds cheered. There was only focus. Quiet focus. As if every person had made a silent promise. The promise that this would never happen again. From high above Earth's surface, a massive ship, once thought to be a museum piece, was seen lifting slowly. No one had flown it for years. Now it was leading the others. Its engines burned cold blue and had turned toward deep space. In the alien empire responsible for the orphanage attack, advisors were panicking. Some demanded defenses, others begged for forgiveness. But they were too late. Supply lines began to fail. Communications between border stations suddenly stopped. Food convoys vanished. Fuel depots went silent. It wasn't destruction, it was removal. Piece by piece, quietly, completely. The alien empire began to feel isolated, cut off from their own worlds. Back on Earth, ordinary people watched old footage of the orphanage. It showed children laughing, reading, sleeping peacefully under artificial stars. That video was played across every screen on every continent without a single word added. After watching it, people didn't cry. They got up, they joined. Engineers, scientists, miners, pilots, everyone found a place in what Earth was doing. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about war. It was something deeper. And then the day came. A satellite from a neutral colony spotted something terrifying and beautiful. A black fleet, silent and endless, moving through the darkness together like a shadow come to life. It didn't stop. It didn't respond to hails. It didn't slow down. It simply disappeared into deep space. From that moment, the galaxy knew Earth wasn't sending a warning anymore. It was sending a message. In the vast silence between stars, something had shifted. The galaxy had always expected Earth to strike back like before, loud, sudden, direct. But that never came. What came instead was something else, something colder, something planned. Weeks passed, then months. But Earth's Black Fleet was never seen attacking major cities or planets. It didn't arrive with noise or fire. It arrived with absence. Fuel convoys disappeared without trace. Communication networks went dark. Transport hubs stopped functioning. One by one, entire sectors of the alien empire fell quiet, like lights, turning off in a hallway slowly, step by step. At first, the empire thought it was internal failure. Maybe sabotage, maybe a rebellion. But then came the pattern. Each system that went silent had one thing in common. It had supported or supplied the ships involved in the orphanage attack. The realization came late, and it came hard. One colony, isolated after all nearby stations vanished, received a transmission. Not a voice, not a threat. Just a soft image on loop, a child's drawing of the Earth floating beside stars, with the word home written beneath it. There was no signature, but everyone knew who sent it. The alien empire's leadership tried to regain control. They offered public regrets. They blamed rogue commanders. They promised to investigate. But Earth still said nothing, and their silence spoke louder than any speech. On distant outposts, human ships began appearing, not to fight but to watch. They didn't fire. They didn't land. They simply stayed in orbit, perfectly still, unmoving, waiting. It was unsettling, terrifying in its stillness. One high-ranking alien officer visited a moon base that had just lost contact with its neighbor. He stood there staring at the sky when a small human probe drifted down and landed gently in front of him. It opened. Inside was only one item, a recording. The voice of a human child, laughing, telling a bedtime story. Nothing else. No words, no demand. Just the sound of innocence, what had been lost. That officer resigned the next day. Across the alien empire, fear spread faster than any fleet. But the fear wasn't just about what Earth might do next. It was about the realization that Earth had already done something. They had removed the Empire's ability to respond. No trade, no fuel, no communication. They were alone. And then, one day without warning, the skies above their capital darkened. People looked up and saw it, the human fleet. Black ships, silent and countless, blocking out the stars. They didn't land. They didn't attack. They didn't speak. They just waited. And across the galaxy everyone watched, wondering not if Earth would move, but why it hadn't already. The skies above the alien capital remained dark, painted with the quiet presence of Earth's fleet. Days passed, then weeks. Still, the ships made no move, no signal, no demand. The galaxy held its breath. Some thought Earth had changed its mind. Others believed they were waiting for the perfect moment. But those who had studied humans closely knew something else. This wasn't hesitation. It was choice. Inside the alien government, fear had turned into silence. Debates had ended. No one argued. No one planned. Even the most powerful leaders, those who once mocked humanity, sat in their chambers, waiting for the sky to speak. But Earth never did. Instead, something unexpected arrived. A single human shuttle descended gently, unarmed, with no guards. It landed in the central square of the capital. A small team stepped out, diplomats, historians, and a child holding a single object, a memory stone. The stone held images, holographic recordings of the orphanage before it was destroyed. Laughter, bedtime stories, children learning about the stars. It was shown on every screen in every city across the alien empire. Then Earth spoke. Not through a warning, not through a speech, but through one sentence, displayed in every known language. You took the future. We reminded you what it looked like. The alien empire surrendered, not in fear, but in shame. They offered reparations, aid, apologies, but Earth didn't respond with demands. They responded with silence. The Black Fleet remained in orbit, still watching, silent guardians of a lesson that no species would forget. In the weeks that followed, Earth sent one final request to the Galactic Union, that a memory wall be built on every capital world. No politics, no history lessons. Just one plaque with the names of every child lost in the orphanage attack, a reminder of the cost of silence. And then, the human fleet turned, not to destroy, not to rule, but to return. They left slowly, fading back into the stars they came from. The Union offered Earth a hero's welcome, but Earth refused. No speeches, no celebration. Just quiet rebuilding. On Earth there were no parades, just the sound of ships docking, factories resting, and people returning to life. The last broadcast from Earth was a child's voice, recorded before the tragedy. I want to go home. And, perhaps in their own way, humanity had done just that. Not by fighting, not by shouting, but by reminding the galaxy what home was meant to be. Something worth protecting. Something never to be taken again.